Welcome to Friday with Friends. I'm Desiree B. Stevens, and I pathologize the system of whiteness. This started off as a podcast called Let's Have the Conversation. And since Substack offers all the things, I continued on here, and I absolutely love it. So I want to introduce my friend. That's my fan. Y'all know how Morgan says it, my fan, Felicity, who is amazing, right? She is a poet. She is a survivor. She is a great sister. I'm about to fucking cry. Like,
It's so much love.
like I told you before, I don't have too many folks that I like look up to, right? Like, and I'm the elder in the sphere of like being the big sister and stuff like that. So it's beautiful to be in community with you and like admire a woman such as yourself. So with that all said, like I said, it'll be a tight 30 minutes. Felicity is a good friend of mine. Um, and she's just an amazing a survivor of life. And I wanted it to be more like we always hear things from like a victim space, right? Or a survivor story. But I love your story because it is like a true reclamation of self. And then what you posted yesterday, and you don't have to share with anybody else. I was like, how fucking timely was that? Right? Like it just was so beautiful. So I want you to share your story however you see fit. Introduce yourself, tell the people. I have a couple questions I will ask, but I just kind of like let it flow as a conversation. But good morning. Hi, Ann.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Okay. So I am a survivor of child abuse, child rape, and also domestic violence. And so I went through the, all of that earlier stuff as a child. But then when my junior year in high school, I met my children's father, and that's when the domestic violence started. And so it went on for 15 and a half years of my life. And one day I just woke up and I don't know, I cried for it was like hours and hours. And I knew in that moment that I wanted something different. I wasn't going to continue living that way. I wasn't going to continue subjecting my children to that. And that's the day that I decided to start my healing journey. And it's been hell. Healing is not rainbows and butterflies like people
No,
think. It's
not at
it's
all.
hell. It's hard. And so but I'm proud of myself. And so every day, nobody is ever just healed. I feel like there's levels to it. So yeah. So here
Yeah.
I am just telling my story and blessing people and just
Mhm.
being me. Yeah.
I love that. And I think that that's what it really is for me. It's just like, um, you tell your story with such empowerment, right? Like when you're sharing, you have like a one woman show, you write poetry, you have a book, just like to empower people. I think that, especially while we're in this system now, yesterday I reposted a article that I wrote about the cycles of abuse, right? And I'm like, I want us to start recognizing these things, right? How easy it is to fall into abuse because of those pillars of supremacy culture, because of the isolation, because of the individualism. It's so easy to say, well, why did you stay? How you been there 15 years and getting your ass beat? Like, and it's
Right.
like,
That's so wild to me.
and
That's
it's
so wild.
like, it's wild because we don't recognize how much abuse we are consistently enduring around us at all times. The
Right.
system in and of itself is abusive. So we are prone to not see abuse, right?
Right.
And then when you come from spaces like yourself, right? Like where you've had very active abuse as a child.
Right.
Of course, right? The people that are supposed to love you, care for you are the first people to harm you.
Right. My mother. Yes.
Yeah, but I'm gonna let you tell it because it ain't my story to tell, girl. It ain't mine.
Right.
when, um, when your mother, whomever, is the first person who's supposed to love, care, protect you, is the person that brings you the most harm. And I talk about this often. I'm like, being a parent in and of itself is inherently abusive, simply because of the parental dynamic, right? Like
Right. Right.
right now, Erin is home, and Erin made themselves peanut butter and jelly. And I said, I will always use Catholic guilt, right? And I'm like, Erin, why don't you love your mother? Why didn't you make one? That's abusive. I'm like, we can't like it's emotional abuse. It's all in fun, it's all in jest. But the truth of the matter is taken too far, a thin line too far, you know what I'm saying? It could be constant and children don't have a way to escape is the whole point of that, right? They can't stand around and say, "Oh, my mom does this every single time I want a peanut butter and jelly. I'm going to leave." And then they still have to show kindness, respect, love, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that that is a very real way of how we wind up in domestic violence, right? And intimate partner violence because the same setup, right? It's paternalistic.
Yes.
But it's your husband, Felicity. He was just tired. He was just stressed out. He's working so hard. All of the things. Tell your story, girl. So, how did we get to healing? Because you're amazing.
How did we get to healing? Imma tell you, I met a family. This lady was friends with my mother, and, she stopped being friends with my mother when she found out my mother was abusing me. But I used to, like, babysit her children, and, I was spending a lot of time with that family, and so when I would be there, they were so loving and caring, and they poured into me and they would always tell me how beautiful I was, how smart I was, and really just love. Oh God, I know I'm sorry. I might cry. It's okay.
You don't have to apologize for
But
being human.
Melissa Wright was her name. And when I first met them, I used to be like, these people are so fake. Like,
Mm.
wh- like what do they want from me? Like I was just expecting that monster to come out the closet, but it never did. And then I realized, like, this is what is supposed to like love. This is what, because for so long I thought love was supposed to hurt. I thought I wasn't worthy of anything good. I thought that was what it was. I was getting abused by my mom. And then you think my junior year in high school, I was still being abused by my mom. Then I'm being abused by my kid's father. So I was getting a double whammy. But
Yeah.
then here it is, this family. I started spending time with them. And I was just like, wow, like they showed me all of those things and they cracked that door open for me to see that love can be beautiful. Love doesn't have to, be painful or any of those things. And so Melissa Wright changed my life.
My
And
Lord.
she passed away back in 2010, but that whole entire family just loved on me and just let me know, like, you are worthy of good things. You are beautiful. You are smart. You are all these things. And so I will forever be grateful. And it's so ironic that the person that abused me introduced me, that these two people were intertwined, and that was divine.
Running through my mind, girl, the way I was thinking that, I'm like, how, like, it'll only take one person in your life to at least crack the door open. I'm not saying
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
in a savior sort of way, right? But in a way that they just show up truthfully who they are. And sometimes your biggest op will lead you to that healing, which is wild.
Woo, that is so woo, you just gave me chills.
Because I'm
But
like,
that was it. That's it.
she
That's
led you
it.
right to it. So I kind of love that. I do want to fire off some of these questions because I want people to know you beyond your story. I wanted them to hear what you went through just to kind of get an idea. But me knowing you personally, the kids be like, Auntie Fee here. Like,
Right, right.
um, I know you beyond that story, right?
Yeah.
And that's vital, right? Because I think that like within systemic violence, because that's what I deal with and talk about, um, we wind up getting stuck in the story, right? Stuck in and that is it's intended, right? Because that cycles of abuse want you to just stay stuck there. Like I'm constantly, this is who I am. This is what I'm defined by my pain. Where you approach this differently, right? You are defined by your return to self, your reclamation, who I am. You guys have got to follow Felicity on all platforms. This girl's dancing in mirrors. She is fucking ridiculous and extra, and I love her so much. All right, so I'm going to read some questions and
Okay.
you answer them as you see fit because I do want to honor your time.
Okay.
One, who were you before the world tried to tell you who to be? What did you have to unlearn to return to yourself? And when did you realize that your voice was yours and that it belonged to you?
Whoa,
I know, girl.
that's a lot.
I know.
So, who was I? I was broken. I was silent. I was afraid. I was filled with fear. Um, I was just in a dark I was in a dark, dark space, a dark space. Um, no hope, none of that. But for me, I had to unlearn damn near everything that I was taught. I had to unlearn everything because everything that the way that I grew up, the way that I was treated, all of that was a lie. So I had to unlearn everything that was me, pretty much.
Mm.
Everything that was me. I had to unlearn it. And can you imagine being in that space? You know,
Yeah.
like nothing I knew, nothing I was taught was healthy. Nothing. And so when I started healing, that's when I realized that I even had a voice.
My Lord.
I never even knew I had a voice because, as you know, abuse and trauma and all that, it silences you, you know?
It's
So,
intended to.
yes. So when I learned that I had a voice, I knew in that moment there was not I don't know if I could use profanity, so I
Girl,
can't.
I curse every fucking day, all day. They
Okay.
love it here.
So when I got my voice and I realized that I had a voice, from that day forward, I knew that there was not a motherfucker walking that could take that away from me ever again.
I love that. That's a
It
beautiful return to self.
is. Yeah.
Because you're right. Like, even when you're seeing it, like I said, like I bring these stories and reflections because liberation for me is every day.
Yes.
It's
Yes,
in
it
all
is.
walks of our life, right? Like, I'm not here to teach people anti-racism. I really don't give a fuck what people think about me.
Hello, me neither. Right.
I care about the systemic power to activate those thoughts. Like, you could
Right.
there's a lot of people walking around here I think is ugly. I think ain't cute, ain't nice. I don't think that I should have the right to vote against that, right? Like, there's a lot of people I don't like. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I should be able to legislate their existence. That is why I want to dismantle systemic oppression, right? Like,
Yeah.
you could definitely not like me because I'm fat and I'm black. You should not be able to make legislation based on those feelings.
Right. Ooh, exactly. Exactly.
That's
Not at
systemic,
all. Not at all.
right? You are
Yeah.
allowed to feel how you want to feel. I don't care. Like, work that out. I don't know what to tell you. But when I macro, micro, right, kind of thing. Inner world, outer world is kind of what I talk about. And when you're talking about silencing, we're silencing the system too, right? Like, don't say anything, don't rock the boat. Oh, we don't have any power. We can't change anything. This idea of panic, right? Like, and back to those cycles of abuse, keeping you there. And then they'll do a little something. They'll do a little something, right? Like, where it's like right now, I've been focusing on, the SNAP benefits. And I'm like, it's bigger than SNAP, right? There's WIC,
Yes.
there's federal employees. There are people who are furloughed. Right now I was doing the fundraiser and I'm not asking people if they're on SNAP or I don't give a shit. Can you eat? Most people are so shamed from the abuse, they won't ask anyway.
Ooh, shame. Listen, I'm telling you, it's so wild because certain things you're saying is like giving me chills. Because
Oh,
you're right. Shame is it plays such a huge part in that. It's not even funny.
it's big, right? And shame is the crux of colonial Christianity, right? I
Yes.
tell people all the time here that shame is not real. It's yet another construct, right? And shame is not real because you could learn so much from children. My 3-year-old at the time, would literally walk into, like, the middle of the park and happily poop and look at you like, "I did a good job." Not wanna wipe their ass or nothing. Pull up their stuff and keep on going. Shame ain't real. A toddler will teach you that shame is not real. Like, you're embarrassed. You may be ashamed because you've been taught that, but that
Right.
3-year-old is going to take their shitty booty and go right on the slide
Right about right,
with
exactly.
all the joy in the world and just happy that they released what they needed to from their body,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And children are such a wonderful thermometer and barometer and GPS system, if you will, for coming back and returning to one who you were,
Yes,
right?
indeed.
Because they are so limitless. And I really enjoy that, right? About hanging out with my own kids. And I actually like my kids. So
Kids
I'm
are
blessed.
so they're so dope. They're so dope.
That's because
And
they're so much
I love the way
themselves.
you parent. I love your parenting. Like,
Mm, thank
and I
you.
think most of my friends, the reason why I think well, not just that reason, because I love y'all for so many reasons,
Right.
but all of my community are the greatest mothers.
Aw, thank
When
you.
you don't come from that, like, I'm so drawn to that, and I respect that so much and I love it so much, and it's one of the reasons why I love you so much because you are an amazing mother. You are an
Thank
amazing
you.
mother, and you have 3, you're 4,
The
but
baby's at home. I know what you're
right at
saying.
home, but you have some amazing human beings, like,
Thank you.
they're gonna kick some ass out here in the world,
Yeah.
and
My
that's
eldest is
because of
pretty cool
you.
too. She's pretty fucking dope. You don't know her, but she's amazing. Maybe one day we'll speak again. So, like sometimes being a good parent is subjective because
It's
she
so
would probably
right.
tell you no.
Hello.
So I take that with a grain of salt and I appreciate it though. All right, listen, you got 15 more minutes. I want to ask some more questions of you. And I want to kind of like wrap up that final thought. So, like, shame will keep people continuing on in cycles, right? So part of this is I want people to remember you have to release the shame, right? Like a lot of the impact stories that people are like, I didn't have to ask any questions or fill out any things. This is like real, true, lateral mutual aid, which is how it should be. Because people already don't want to ask for help. Nobody wants to go and say, I'm being harmed. My mother hurt me. You're afraid of what'll happen to her, right? Like I had to learn that. Let me tell you, speaking of parenting and abusive cycles, I am like balls to the wall about my kids. Like I will drive my truck through your house about my children and wait for the police, right? Like I'm that
No
kind of
problem.
person.
Right.
However, during my own healing process, I realized that that's actually not beneficial for your children, right? Because what happens is they're aware that you are their safe person, and now them telling you is going to make you unsafe, right? So there's so many cycles, right? So they don't want to say this is happening because I know my mom would go insane. So I had to learn how to temper my insanity to parent healthily in that sort of way to be like, you could tell me, you're safe to tell me. But I do think that shame keeps people in a lot of bondage. Um,
Yes.
and to that note, what made you release that shame? Like, where did you realize you did not have to feel shame about your story? I know that you write, right? So I want to know what, how did you release that shame and say, you know what, I can ask for help, or I know whatever it was, that moment that you have to release shame. What role did writing play in your healing? And is there a piece in your book that feels like a turning point for you if your younger self read it today?
Okay. Well, I would say that my writing, it gives me my voice.
Mm,
Um, the one that silence tried to steal.
my lord.
Um, I guess each word became a way to speak the truth that I was never allowed to say out loud. Um, I think if my younger self would read my book, I think she'd say, no, I know she'd say, "Thank you for never giving up on me." And I feel like she'd cry,
Mm.
but not from pain, um, but from finally being seen.
Okay, so now I'm gonna cry. I'm a gangster,
Okay.
Felicity.
No, but that's what I feel like. Yeah, and shame isn't mine to carry. It never was. And once I realized that, I mean, that was just the realization. It my truth is my truth, my story is my story, my experiences are my experiences, and I have nothing there was absolutely nothing to be ashamed of ever.
Ever.
Although we think that or we're taught that, but it's not mine to carry because it doesn't belong to me.
It doesn't. It really, really doesn't, right? And even like I said, because I do systemic work, but liberation happens in our own bodies, right? I always remind people that it has to start within, right? You cannot liberate a system if you have not liberated yourself. Like you're just going to continuously replicate these cycles and systems of abuse, right? Like you think you're doing these good things, but you haven't done the healing work, you haven't recognized all of these things, and you will keep building it in. And with the idea, I'm on everywhere on social media, right? And like a lot of shit is for rage bait, but it's a really good sociological finger on the button, kind of like, check the temperature there, right? And somebody, I'm like, like, so you're not mad about basically the gist was like about buying weaves, nails, lashes. And I was like, you're talking about Black people. Please just say it. Please just
Right, right.
Please just say it. And they were Black. And I was like, God, we really have got to stop using our own trauma against ourselves. But that's a whole other topic. And I was like, no, actually, I think my issue is more, good morning, Ginge. My issue is more with billionaires who could feed people like right now today, right? Like Bezos could cut a check, fund SNAP privately, and still be a billionaire.
I'm
So
telling
like
you.
my issue is gonna lay there, right? And so, like, when I'm talking, I don't think that people should be ashamed that they need to eat. That is a basic human right. I don't think people need to be ashamed of needing housing or assistance. And like I said in my other live on Monday, I was like,
Amen.
the truth of the matter is, we wouldn't need supplemental assistance if companies were actually paying people living wages, right? Like, it keeps one knocks out a whole
Yes,
other. Right.
yes.
So, like, the government is not actually helping, right? And that goes into abuse. Like, the government is not actually helping, kind of similar to how a partner is not helping you get out of an abusive situation. They are a predator looking for prey.
Bingo.
You understand what I'm saying? So, because you were already primed and ready, that man seen that in you.
Yeah,
Right. Like
yeah,
he's seen that in you and you couldn't even see your way out of it, which I think is very, parallel to systemic issues, right? Because it's the same thing, right? So like these people are like they believe that the government is helping, and also other people who are like, well, I bet you need the government's help. No, I actually don't need the government's help. I actually need companies to pay me what I'm worth. And I would not need that, right? The government is helping businesses. They are subsidizing companies from stealing wages. That's completely not the same thing. And that for me is like where these little paradigm shifts come
yes.
in, where it's like, holy shit, and it activates you more. So with that, because I got like 6 more minutes, I want your 6 minutes before you have to jump off to your next meeting, and I want you to take a breath and ground yourself for your next meeting. What paradigm shifts would you offer to someone that is in this situation? Secondly, what does liberation feel like in your body now? And how do you stay soft after you live through it all? Because you're the softest woman I know. You soft as hell.
People out after I did my one woman show, people were like, they was because I tell people things, but there's so much more in my play. But they were like, they didn't understand how I could be so loving after all that I had been through. But it's who I was always. It was just that what I went through, of course, buried that, but I was born this way, you know? So, um, what am I okay, so what does liberation feel like in my body now?
Yes. Like, what paradigm shift would you offer to somebody that's in a similar situation? What does liberation feel like in your body now? Okay. And then what was the last one? Oh, the how do you stay soft? You answered that one. It's who you always were. You just returned back to yourself with your healing.
Right, I did. Well, Imma say what liberation feels like in my body now. Um, you know what? It feels like dancing again,
Mm,
but not to escape, but to celebrate.
I love the return to you.
That's what I feel like. I'm trying to think. What was your other question? I'm sorry, my
What
brain.
paradigm no, you got I'm gonna let you take a breath and go so you can prepare for your next meeting. What
What
paradigm shift would you offer someone in a situation in a cycle of abuse?
uh wow. Well, why is my brain just I got so much on my brain. Okay. Um
Just one. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be pretty. Just one thing that, like I said, like it, like when we switched from no, the government is not helping people. It's actually subsidizing companies that are robbing your ass. Uh, what what's the paradigm shift that even for you?
that's a lot, Des.
Okay, and
Oh,
that's fair.
that's a lot.
That's fair, and we can end it right there. All right, how can everybody find you? And I want you to take a breath before you leave. Take a sip of whatever the hell you're drinking. Move your body, shake it off, so you can get to your meeting because you're amazing.
I love you. Thank you. You are too. We
I
just
love
we
you,
just
Mom.
we just reflect each other. We're just a reflection of each other.
Indeed.
Uh so you can find me everywhere on all social medias under Felicity Love. I just keep it one name across the board. So yeah. So
And I'll
I
put all your links in.
yeah, huh?
I'll put all your links in so they can
Okay,
find
yeah.
you.
Yeah. So that's it. Um I would like to end by offering a blessing
Please do.
to someone still, as you said, in the thick of their becoming.
Mhm.
Um, I want to tell somebody, may you never mistake the breaking for the end
My God.
because it's
Don't
actually the beginning of your blooming. And may you find softness even when the world has only shown you sharp edges. And may you remember, because I had to tell myself this many a times, that you are not behind, that you are becoming. And I think
I
we
love
can
you.
end with that. And I love you too.
I love you.
And
Drink
thank
water.
you all so much for coming because I know you could have been anywhere in the world today, but you chose to be here with us during this conversation. And I do not take that for granted. And I love you all. Elsa.
I love you, Mama. I love you. Breathe. You're amazing.
You,
Tiffany says thank you for sharing with us.
you're
Yeah.
welcome, Tiffany.
Yeah. I love you.
Love you more.
Alright, I'm
And
gonna go cry. I wanted to continue this, but I'm like, I'm gonna go cry.
I know I wish I could stay on longer. Maybe we can do another one another time.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you 1,000 times over and over again.
And I'm grateful for your space in my life. And you know that.
I love you.
You my heart.
You my baby. All right, I'm gonna see you tomorrow when we outside being ratchet and cheerleaders.
Hey.
Ew. We'll take a picture and post it on Substack so y'all can see that we also play hard. Okay?
Yes,
All
we
right.
do.
Listen.
Yes, we do.
Get off so you can start your meeting because we can't have you losing no jobs up in this
Okay. Okay.
fucking
I love y'all.
uh
Thank you.
situation. Bye.
Bye.
All right. I think you could just hit the X. I am gonna stay here so I could chat some more. Oh, we are freaking sweet. That's my friend. That's my fan. That's how Morgan says friends. Okay, take breaths. Ground ourselves. I love Felicity. She is amazing. And thank you guys all for being here. All right. I need more coffee, water, or something. So I wanted to continue the conversation with my three talking points that kind of are pretty standard of the stuff that I do here. Tiffany says her story really resonated with me. Thanks for having her. Yeah, I think that her story resonates with more people than we care to admit. And very much as we are dismantling this system, like I said, I really do believe that personal liberation is going to be what guides us to systemic liberation. And releasing shame is something that's so big in order to do. And I don't think that we have enough people sharing their stories and telling you, like, and comparing it. Put it that way, because I think there's plenty of brave people out here telling their stories. Let me fix that. But I don't think that we often get the systemic comparison. So I'm hoping to be able to bring that here with Friday with Friends. Just hang out with the dope ass people that I know. So take a breath. Okay. I need a breath, child. Mom told me I'll take a breath. Let me scroll to my, should have put them all together, but here we are. Drink some water. Jen says, I've been on the shame breaking journey on a personal level for a while. Good, because it's necessary, right? I was talking with some people the other day, and as you guys know, I've been raising money with a nonprofit to simply give out assistance, financial assistance. If Instacart goes to you, like I could send it to you. That's not a big deal. And in close quarters, I literally was like, hey, if by chance any of you need help, say something. Now they knew what I was doing and sharing what I was doing. And one of them chose in that moment to be vulnerable and was like, yeah, actually, this is impacting me. And I'm like, thank you for saying that and saying that in front of places. Because even when people know the things that are going on, even when people know that stuff is available, the shame is so awful. We're intended to continuously put on a pretty face and a smile while we're fucking breaking. And that is not anywhere near community. I'd rather you break down, fall apart, and let's smush those pieces back together in community than you falling apart alone by yourself. Let me see. Jen says ADHD, grief, and shame. We get stuck at the moment we learn how to cope with the shame that other people put into us. I was stuck at the wounded child. Oh, yeah. So I know that journey all too well. My son was born 2016. 2016, my little sunshine. And at that time, I was working with Mary Branch. She is amazing dream worker. Let me put notes. Add Mary Branch. And I was like, so much is coming to me, like in my dreams and all of this awareness and all of this, that, and the other thing. And Mary, and like I may have Mary on here. Let me see. She is amazing. And I did so much inner child work. And I really realized a lot of my patterning and a lot of my response to things was at 11-year-old, 12-year-old Des, right? In this big old grown ass body, thinking I got it going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've done all the things that capitalism said that I should do, but I was still reacting to people from that wounded space, right? My own relationship, my own marriage from that space. Like, and it was a huge abandonment wound, right? After my father had died, I became like a awful the way I dealt with that grief was absolutely horrible, and I wanted to hang out in the streets, and I wanted to drink, and even at that young age, and at the time, my mom was pregnant with my sister, and she couldn't balance both things, so she got a PINS petition, means person in need of supervision. So, basically, after a certain amount of time, like, let's say it's 10 p.m., because we were in the '80s, and it's like, "It's 10 p.m., do you know where your children are?" After 10 p.m., your parent, right, is no longer legally responsible for you. Which obviously in my younger years, I'm like, bitch, who would do that to their kid? But then as you grow and you realize she had a newborn and was looking in the streets for me with my baby sister, and pregnant. Like before she had given birth to her. So it made sense. It protected her. It protected my sister, yada, yada, yada. But I wound up at the New York Family Hospital, which is a place literally like for orphans. And like walking into there, like in my dream, and walking into that space and looking back and nobody there and feeling like nobody was fighting for me trickled into my relationships, right? Like even my romantic relationships. Cause then it was like, well, I leave emotionally. I'm an emotional leaver at that time. And doing all of that work, letting go of that shame, recognizing all of the things like what I just shared. Well, like it was a protection of self, it was a protection of her child, also she didn't realize like once a kid goes into the system, you kind of can't get them out. And I just wound up back and forth, just pretty much like that, up until Jesus. God, I mean, I got off of probation at 18. So there you go. It's a never ending cycle. The system gets you, and then that's pretty much the hell it. But releasing that shame of that story, that shame of saying, yeah, I lived in group homes. Yes, I was in foster care. Yes, I was a juvenile delinquent. Yes, I came from, abusive household. My father was an addict and he used to abuse my mother. Having those things. Oh, Ginge, I didn't know that. Foster kid and adopt. I did know that you were adopted. I was not aware that it was through foster care system. Um, it was very important to do that, right? Like, it was super important to do that, and all of those things help shape me. I'm still in contact. I was still Facebook contact, for years with, my probation office. I'm 46 years old. One of the counselors that was in the group home in Brooklyn was amazing to me, and I was a teenager, and I'm still in Facebook contact. We talk, and she sees me all grown up. My mother did a lot of her own healing work, and she kind of never forgave herself. She did not know that it would go that far. It was more of a protection, and in protecting one child, it went to another, and it gets all twisted up. And all of those things happen. And you kind of have to pull all of those parts together, right? Like that IFS thing here's pull all of these parts together and see where was broken you. And how do you pull all of that back in? And I did all of that. And a lot of it came from why I share every damn thing about my life online, because something that I'm going through, something that I have gone through, is something that you've gone through too. And so the intent is seeing our connection, seeing our humanity, seeing that there's nothing to be ashamed of. There's not. And I still have to show up with certain things. And there's a balance of keeping certain shit private and being open and honest. So, itty hoot, listen, because I do want to go through my three talking points. Da da da, ba da ba. So, I'm going to give you a music break, drink some water, move your body, and let me find my talking point. Erin is singing through their cute little headphones, and I just want to bite them. Erin is adorable. I told them that you were singing.
Huh?
I told them that you were singing. You want to come say hi? You want to say hi? You were singing right now.
No, it wasn't.
Bye, child.
My blanket.
Where's your blanket? Why can I not find this? Who's adorable, me or Erin? Either way, thank you. Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. Oh, for fuck's sake. All right, I found it. There we go. Well, I kind of sort of found it. I found the bullet points, but I had some more fleshed out thoughts that I wanted to share with you guys. And I think that that's super important for my three talking points. So, pardon the break, but maybe we need it. Maybe we need to just like suck it all in. Today's conversation. Where am I? Google. I need to be able to Google Docs better. I also probably need some more. Oh, me with the singing. Thank you. All right, child. Okay, you're just gonna get the bulleted points. Like, listen, maybe specific. All right. So, one talking point: economic insecurity increases survival mode. Second one: patriarchy tries identity to control. Three, systems fail first, home carries the consequences. Why I wanted to talk about that is because we are having very superficial conversations in regard to SNAP and SNAP only. And that kind of binary, right? I keep telling you guys, you gotta release the binary. That binary conversation, the either or, either we're getting snapped or we're not, does not fully flesh out all that is happening. We're not talking about sector impacts, how it will trickle down to another. We're not talking about even if he turns around and tries to be a savior and turns them on next week, which feels like something that he would do. That's still a psychological warfare, right? And part of that cycle of abuse that is happening and why we need to recognize those things. And more so, what I wanted to discuss while having Felicity and bringing Felicity on is the increase in domestic violence and child abuse that is inevitably going to happen underneath economic strain. We cannot pretend that one thing does not lead to another, right? You can't pay bills. That shit is stressful. You scared about being houseless. That's stressful. Eating, all of those things. If WIC is not able to be funded through the states, right? Infanticide, just all of the things, all of the domestic violence that you could think of is going to rise. So part of that conversation is recognizing those things, right? That economic insecurity increases survival mode. When we are in survival mode, we could only think about our very bare bones. And every single thing. Aaron, come on. Why are you so loud? Come on. Come on. Did you guys hear that? So, well, she's so loud. She just kept screaming and hollering. So when we are thinking about those things, right, Moon, we need to recognize that when we are helping or looking to help others, you are doing more than relieving a financial burden. You are helping someone survive a potentially dangerous situation. You're helping ease their survival mode. Survival mode is horrible. Petty crime is going to go up. Armed robberies are going to go up. And, like I said, DV, IPV, however you want to call it, is going to go up because people are so angry and so terrified. And those that are closest to them will be the ones harmed. So the reframe here is when you hear these stories or when you see it or as it's coming up, because even if SNAP goes back on, there's still going to be an economic crisis. We're still going to pay for these moments and we're going to pay for this for the next few years. I don't even know how long, friends. But just being realistic, the reframe is not, why don't they just leave? Is it, Moon? No, because leaving requires resources and safety. And I tell you guys this when you're talking about the MAGA whites. That's white folks. They be beefing with each other, blue versus red, and leaving MAGA, leaving um, the alt right wing is very similar to leaving a domestic violence situation. They can't just leave. That is the birth canal of whiteness, right? That is what gives birth to all of the ideologies of American exceptionalism, nationalism, the American way, um, anti-racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, all of the things is the alt right, is the birth canal of the system of whiteness. And leaving that space requires safety. So if as white body people, you're all like, oh, well, too bad, suck it up, buttercup. It's like, yes, and, right, releasing that binary. Are you providing them resources? And there will be some people that get left behind. I'm not saying that it's your job to fix that. I am saying there's a space and place to offer grace for people to grow, to move, to understand. And if you are recognizing it, right? If you can offer that, reframe like, well, leaving that situation is like leaving DV might help you better because you guys keep saying people voted against their own best interest. The truth of the matter is that's all they've known. Right. And not for nothing, it's working. Like it has worked for a certain sect of those people that continue to vote in that way. Very specifically, the upper echelon inside of those hierarchies of whiteness, right? Voting alongside their husbands has kept them, quote unquote, safe inside of patriarchy, even if it's that much closer to the violence. They are still somewhat safe from what they understand safe to be, like how Felicity was talking about. I didn't even know that there was another way of being. It is partly your job, our job, humanity's job, to show these people that are caught up in these cycles that there are other ways of being and doing that through actionable steps. So, the reflection here is what changes in your home when survival mode rises? So, I want you to ask yourself that, right? With everything that was going on this week with trying to field money, right? Because the money that people are donating goes into the Zephy account, but it Zephy only pays out once a week on Monday. So I'm like, fuck, I need to fund this with my own money. Shit. I ran out of my own money. So I'm like, can I borrow some other money? So I borrow some money from my friend and I'm like, I'll pay you back as soon as the Zephy money transfers to the bank account just so everything could be accounted for and proper when I turn it over to an accountant at the end of the year and I don't look like I'm not doing the right things. But in that, my house became a disaster. I'm also trying to, have a Jasmine's Garden is having a community fundraiser and mixer this evening for Samhain, Halloween. And so trying to do that, so pulling out the clothes, and my house went to the wayside. When that happens, I am snarky as fuck. I am mean as hell. I don't like the kids. I don't like the cats. I don't like anything in it. I want to be in my bed. I'm like, fuck it. I want to ignore the world. That's a survival mode. That is your nervous system activated, right? There was too many things going on in my head, too many things going on around the house, and something has to give. Right. And it's easy. Like I said, parenting is inherently abusive. So it's easy to be like, yo, shut the fuck up and leave me alone. Right. That happens. That happens. I thankfully now have the words to be like, hey guys, I'm overwhelmed. I'm cutting out. I'm cutting out. Mom's gonna go order some pizza. I gotta go to bed. Like I need to go to sleep. I'm overwhelmed. The other day I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, cleared up my whole entire house, and I was able to reset my entire nervous system, spoke with them, and I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. We're raising some money. We're doing some things. So things are going to feel a little bit hectic. I need more help. And that's pretty much it. Right. But a lot of us don't have those skills. A lot of us were not offered those skills to communicate, to even recognize what's going on. And paternalism, one of those 15 pillars of supremacy culture, kicks in. Paternalism says, father knows best kind of idea. It fills in that hierarchy: God, husband, wife, family. And it plays out into childism and adultism, right? Like as the adults, I know better. And even if I'm going off the rails, it's okay. As if the children are not also being stressed, as if the kids don't know that they have friends that have food insecurity, or what are their friends going through in their own homes, right? So they have their own lives too. And this often gets forgotten when we are talking about DV and what goes on. So kind of think about that. Ask yourself, what changes in your own home when survival mode rises? This should open you up to recognize, instead of going with the good, bad binary, that you know what? Shit. I have the potential to be abusive too, or I have been abusive, because how has somebody else experienced you? You may not feel that, but how has somebody else experienced you? This should help you open up to the possibility of understanding so that you can offer more resources to those who are trying to survive and or escape that situation. And what resources can the abuser have to help them never do that shit again? I also believe in street justice. I will not be elaborating. Okay, there we go. 2, patriarchy ties identity to control, right? So what does that mean? Well, it's the same thing, like I said, right? Like I'm a mother. So motherhood has been defined by white womanhood and white wife life and all of those sorts of things. So apparently I'm failing as a mother if my house is a wreck or I can't get it together or my kids have cereal for dinner, right? So my identity is is tied into that, right? And I often say like it's just a title for me, right? Like I love being a mom. I enjoy it very much, actually. Um, but it's not who I am. It's a thing that I do. It's a title. Who I am is the person who shows up, right? Flawed, human in all of those ways. And I feel privileged to be guiding tiny humans, but my identity has never been tied up in being a wife, in being a mother, or any of those sorts of things. I'm Des. And I want to maintain that sovereign identity. Happy Samhain to you all. And Jen said it in amazing Gaelic that I cannot actually say. So I love that. One day I want to learn. Um, so the reframe here is it's not anger, it's power shaped by scarcity. Okay. So while people say, "Oh, well, they're just angry, right? We'll make excuses for abusers." No, no, they're on a power kick. They're on a power kick and they will take it and draw it from wherever they can take it from, right? Because they are losing power inside of systems, right? You are a man, you have been forced by patriarchy that's also tied to your identity. You are a provider, right? You hear man, you think provider. Provider never means anything else inside of a capitalist society except financial provision, which I hate. And I really wish that men would sit down and unpack it because provision is emotional, physical, spiritual, financial, sexual. There's a lot of ways to provide something for someone besides capitalism. And the truth of the matter is as men get laid off, as money changes, shifts, as women make more and or all of these things, we're seeing it with the men who are like, ha ha ha, look at you, guess you're gonna need a man now. And I'm like, sir, like, way to go saying that you're a piece of shit human and you're not actually likable. That somebody would have to turn to you and sell their pussy for $40. Like, or to eat. But you're not likable enough as a person that somebody would actually choose to partner with you. They are choosing to survive. That is what patriarchy strips from men, making you subhuman, not actually a person. And that needs to be talked about more because it's a power play. Oh, I don't know, Ginger, if it's freezing up for anybody else. Nobody has said anything. So that's the reframe. It's not anger. It is power shaped by scarcity. So when you see these men out here that's like, haha, you need men now. I guess many shit is going to change. It's like, no, now you're just showing how shitty you actually are. And as a collective, I am so glad I am seeing more men call these men out like, yo, what's wrong with y'all? Like it's giving rape. It's giving predator. It's giving ha ha ha, come to this back alley. Cause that's exactly what it's doing. And that is power. It's good for you? Awesome. That is power, and it's shaped by the scarcity of people not having options, of losing their positionality, of losing stability. And now they want to exert power. That's predatory. So the reflection here is where does your body hold tension when you feel powerless? Right. So when we could recognize, hey, I feel powerless in this moment, in this situation, what is coming up for you? Where where is that in your body? Is it in your shoulders? Do you feel tense? Is it in your chest? Can you not breathe? Is my throat closed up where I can't speak? Think about that. Feel into that. And then travel back to where that first came up for you when those feelings felt similar. Your shoulders touch your ears, right? Like, so, like, does that feel like I'm cowering? I'm hiding. I'm becoming smaller. Is that like that turtle action? I'm trying to go in, right? I don't want to be seen. I want to be covered in my shell. And then track that pattern. Where did it first go back to? When did you first feel those feelings, right? When did your body first react in that sort of way to that powerlessness, right? And track that and then pay attention to that pattern. And you could kind of get ahead of it. And then you could also tell when someone is trying to exert power over you. Because your body, you could make your mind think a lot of shit. Like they will twist your mind up, but your body always remembers, right? Body keeps the score. It's going to know. So you could tell if somebody's trying to exert some power over you. How's your body responding? Oh, I need to retreat from this space, right? That is your tell. That's your body. That's your body's tell. 3, systems fail first, but homes carry the consequences, right? You know, I talk about your home has to be where we begin our liberation work, right? But as these systems are failing and that dependency on these systems, we have got to turn inward and really rebuild the community. Like for Black people, this is not new. Indigenous folks, this ain't new. For the non-Blacks, this is not new, right? Like it's just like this has always gone on, but you guys have never realized it because again, racism will stop your liberation every time. But like for as Black people, we have had rent parties, fish fries. We've done all of those things, all the things that whiteness tries to shame Black people for. When you see the GoFundMe's for funerals, and yes, I do wish that we got more life insurance. I do want that for us. But again, you're looking at the first generation of born free Black people, right? And the disenfranchisement. has happened for so many generations that it's crazy and wild to anticipate that a group of people that were collectively, systemically kept along the fringes and disenfranchised would have it all together because all of a sudden you said we should. But those things that whiteness as a system tries to shame people for has been community in action. We have buried our kin, our friend, our communities. We have kept people housed. And we've done it through fun. Rent parties are the shit. Like, yo, $20 at the door. We're not trying to get an eviction. And we could do that shit every weekend. You got to pay for a club? You got to pay for the movies. Movie in my backyard, y'all. It's $20 a head. Come on. Bring your own bottle. Bring a plate. Potluck it. Those are fundraisers, right? But that shame tells you a fundraiser should be a gala, right? It needs to be black tie, $5,000 a plate. It could be $5 a plate. It's doing the same damn thing. That is community, right? That is that awareness and recognizing that homes carry the consequences. These folks are going to lose their jobs and go home and beat their wives. These moms are going to be stressed out and so scared that defects is coming because their kid goes to school and says that they hungry, they're going to kick their kid's ass. Don't you say shit. Right? And instead of pathologizing the system, we're going to talk about them. We're going to say they are a terrible mother. And maybe they are. Maybe they are a mother pushed too far to the brink with feeling like there's no options. And what they don't want to do is lose their children to a system for a temporary thing and it be permanent. And you'll be okay. You will survive a couple days, a couple nights, a little bit hungry. And if you want to impact that and if you want to change that, then you find those people and you offer them without shaming them, right? Like I have my little free library. I was looking out there, but I haven't built it yet. Put food out there. Donate directly to people. Give where you know it's needed. Shit, go to school. Every school has children in it. It's kind of like the place where you could find all of the kids. Just bring boxes of food to the school. They'll disseminate it. They'll know what it's for. Bring it to the church. Right? These things that exist in your community are they should be there. And if they're not, then you make them. You exist in my community, you'll work for this community. That's what you'll do. Or you can get the fuck out this community. There's options. There's options. But if you are not servicing the community, you should not exist within the community. Because therefore, if you are not pouring into a community, you know what you're doing? You're extracting. You're exploiting. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to allow these systems to do that because again, homes carry those consequences. The reframe here is crisis does not create harm. It reveals the fault lines that were already there, which I kind of touched on, right? You will turn around and say this mother is cruel because she's kicking her kid's ass and she's not feeding her kid, and you will not understand that she is being underpaid. And the government has decided to collude with companies to consistently steal wages from the people that are working. That's exploitation. That is extraction. That is the systems. Right. We're built on a slave economy, people. They literally built an entire economy on abusing people, feeding them just enough to get through for the next day of work and paying them nothing. What did you anticipate? It's going to be a lot of reckoning that's happening and going on, right? So the reflection that I offer here is who helps you remember yourself when things feel heavy? Right? Coming back to oneself, like when we were talking with Felicitee, right? Like how she mentioned Miss Wright was somebody who brought her back to her original self, who her self was that she didn't even know that existed before the abuse, that inner self. Who around you can bring you back to your true self? Who around you, even if you are the mother, that's like, damn, I totally just kicked my kid's ass last night, who was like, shit, they were hungry and they didn't deserve that. Who can remind you that they didn't deserve that? That you guys just need some help and you need some community. And you should not be kicking your kids' ass because they're hungry because they're hungry. And it's not your fault that they're hungry, but you need to ask for some help. Who can bring you back to yourself to be like, you are not a terrible person because you cannot provide. But these systems are absolutely failing intentionally. Who is there to bring you back to yourself that reminds you that you have power to help others and yourself, that together we are so much stronger? Who? Name those people, write them down. Those are your immediate community and check in with them. What do you need? What are you feeling? What's coming up for you? I was sitting down. Taylor says, my sister always saw me until I did at 55. That is invaluable. Who could actually see you, even in the darkest of spaces? Who can see you and bring you back to yourself and remind you of yourself and remind you that you're not failing? Now you're doing the very best that you can, but maybe you need some help. Like whatever that help may be, right? Like, because recognizing and seeing somebody does not mean not holding them accountable for their actions. That's not that. We're not making excuses. We are holding people accountable in love and saying, hey, that's really fucking bad choices. What are you going to do about that? Like, what are you going to do and how can I help you? How can I support you do that? And reminding people, like I said, that they are not failing. These systems are made to do that and they're trying to break us. That is the goal. Psychological warfare. Like I said, I fully anticipate that he is going to turn Snap back on and be the benevolent savior. Well, look. But again, it goes right back to my analogy is that like if I punch you in your mouth and then hand you an ice pack, like, did I help you? No, I didn't. I busted your mouth. That's it. The ice pack thereafter doesn't matter because it did not need to be offered if I did not strike you first, right? So think about it from that point. Okay. So again, we're going to round this up. We're at the end. This was a very, very heavy one, but I'm super happy to bring you my Friday with friends. My friends, they're amazing. So the three talking points here were one, economic insecurity increases survival mode. Okay. So recognize that. And before we judge someone, question what they're going through and offer help. Help the person who's being victim of it first. Help. Help. You good? What you need? How can I help you? Help them release the shame, help them realize that this is not okay, help the person that is going through it. Just, hey, I see you. This is not okay. And I understand that you may be underneath a lot of stress, but this is not okay. What can I do? How can I come alongside you? Offer that. Always stay safe though. Two, patriarchy ties identity to control. We are going to watch a lot of veils slipping, right? A lot. Because we are labeled by who we are and those roles that we should play. I remember, Morgan was like 3 when her dad and I separated, and she was the daddy's girl. I'm talking about like they co-slept in everything. That was her man. Like, I couldn't even get next to him, and she was right there, like don't touch him. And she was so, so bad. She was like, I hate you. You're the worst mom ever. I'm like, I don't know, like 4 by that time. I hate you. You're the worst mom ever. And I'm like, that would hurt my feelings if my entire identity was tied up in being a mom. This is a moment. And you are entitled to be angry. She's very angry at the separation. And that is a fair feeling. But there's a freedom in losing the identity. And that is why I shared that story, right? Because I could have sat there, I could have responded in a way that's like, I'm not, right? Got all defensive about it. And it's like, no, for her in this moment, I am the worst mom ever. And she hates me. And that is so fucking valid. And also, my identity is not wrapped up in just being a mother. Because if it was, then I would have the need to defend that. Like, I'm not. Yes, I'm the, okay. Let me know when you wanna talk about that. I'm sorry that you feel that way. I don't know what to tell you. Like, there's definitely been times I thought my mother was the worst mother as well. I could identify with that because I have released the identity. So I can now meet her or anyone with humanity. Damn, you know what? There were times where I absolutely thought my mom was horrible and I hated her. Yeah, I think that that's pretty normal. Like, or maybe it's not, but it is something that I went through. So I was able to identify with the feeling versus the overarching identity of mother and how good I'm supposed to be at it. 3, systems fail first and homes carry the consequences. As things fail around us, houses will be impacted, not just food wise, right? Emotionally, mentally. Again, you have to remember my last article I talked about banks are not banks, landlords, utilities, they are not mandated to give a damn that you don't have a job. Right now, there are some things like, if you are like military or federal and you bank with certain banks, like, Navy Federal is offering that right now. I saw this morning that the city of Atlanta is working with the water company to not shut things off and like to stave evictions. But that's not everywhere. That's not everywhere. And that's the city of Atlanta. That does not mean the whole state of Georgia. Right? That ain't got nothing to do with any of the other states either. Every single state operates like its own little country in the United States. So it's so much larger than what we think it is. And we have got to prepare that homes are going to be impacted in so many ways, right? Because there's just so much pressure to survive capitalism and to identify with whatever title and role capitalism and white supremacy and supremacy culture has given you. And that is absolutely going to be tearing people apart. So be mindful of that. All right. I am going to have another cup of coffee and I have my kids IAP meeting at 12. So I will have this replay available later on this afternoon. And I want you to remember this. Rub your hands together, right? Dust that off, kind of. That was heavy. Take some deep breaths. Come back into your body. Thank you for the heart scans, right? So here's the reminder survival is not the story. All right. We love that. Most of us have survived something, right? Today is Samhain. I have my ancestors here, that easy, like the canvas there from my peoples. Um, and their resilience, I got cabbage, ham going on, potatoes, make some cornbread in my grandma's cast iron and honor all of my ancestors. Got my cornucopia set up. It's a perfect time to sit down and remember that you are a part of a very powerful lineage that has survived all the way here. But survival is not the story. The return is. The return to yourself, the return to your breath, the return to your body. That is it. Are you doing the empty dinner? I love that, Ginge. I set a plate as well for that. So take a breath, feel your body, and remember that you are not alone. You heal through remembering each other. Okay? We are all in this together. You may not like it, like, but that is what we are. So that is it for my Friday with friends. I will see you guys again on Monday. This is definitely my reminder that I am still raising funds. It is nonprofit, so it is tax deductible. Give me some money. It's been amazing. I am sending out Instacart, and now that we have reached emergent spaces, I will be sending out emails to those donors. And what we're going to do is some wraparound care and take on X amount of families that we feel that we can and give them sustained support, right? Because what we don't want is for people, thanks, Jen, is for people to okay, they got help this week. They got help this month. What about next month, right? And constantly remember you cannot do this work without a regulated nervous system. So even if we could just wrap ourselves around 5, 10 families and say, okay, we're going to supplement you at $300 a month or whatever that looks like, that is the goal, right? And I want other people to do that too. If you are able, right? Like we have got to stop thinking about it so big. If you are able to say, I can offer $150 to a family, one, do it in your neighborhood. Find somebody. I promise you, there is somebody in your sphere that could use that. Do it. It does not have to be to somewhere else. If you want the deduction, it could be to me. And I'm going to be doing the same thing. But if you can just do it and it doesn't feel harmful to you and it's okay, then do that. If it means, okay, I don't have that much, but you know what? I can buy 2 cans of beans and give one away. do it. You do what you can. Remember, it's also capacity and what you could do sustainably. And I love community dinners. Yes, I'm actually going to, Speech and I are gonna be we're bringing back Cinema Encounter, but we're gonna be looking at doing things, like I said, like those rent parties, low cost entry, to hang out and party but fundraise, right? And still come together. Community gatherings are amazing, right? Bring a canned good, bring some food, bring some clothes, have a good time. That's exactly what Jasmine's Garden is doing tonight. And I love that. She has an amazing reach and she has done a few of these mixers. And I think that that is so powerful and beautiful. And we should be mimicking more of that. Like, you can have fun. Like, do not think that charity work, quote unquote, charity work is supposed to be a certain type of way. That's an identity. That's supremacy culture gave you. It could be however the fuck you want it to look because it's all about community. All right. I'm out of here. I need more coffee. And I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Take a breath, drink some water, move your body. Bye.